Are you looking for better shooting experience? How about a facility where you can shoot all of your firearms in the same day, where you can move and shoot steel, draw from the holster, and practice your rifle work out to 600 yards? Shoot a very challenging sporting clays course or a round of trap or skeet. You can do all that and much more at the Aurora Sportsman's Club. Hi, I'm David Lombardo, president of the Aurora Sportsman's Club. If you love the outdoors, you'll want to know all about Northern Illinois' largest outdoor shooting facility, the Aurora Sportsman's Club. If you're a novice looking for a basic course, an experienced shooter looking for an advanced course, or perhaps you want to participate in your favorite shooting event, or just spend an enjoyable day with the family, the Aurora Sportsman's Club is the only shooting facility in the region that offers all that and more. Interested? Then you won't want to miss the next orientation and tour of the Aurora Sportsman's Club. Call, email, or visit our website today to find out how you can become part of a better shooting experience at the Aurora Sportsman's Club in Waterman, Illinois.
He is the human Molotov cocktail that they can legally throw into the system that stole their lives from them.
So we're going to create a new government that serves you, your family, and your country. It's
time for On Target Radio, Chicagoland's only radio show dedicated to the red meat issues that affect your life, from gun control to freedom of speech. Now, debating, debunking, and discussing today's hot issues, here are your hosts, David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz.
Welcome to On Target Radio. Tonight, David and Gretchen will be taking a look at California and Oregon's secession movement, one spice company's hot email to its customer list about Trump. Then, David and Gretchen will take a look at Trump's proposed Second Amendment agenda, including universal concealed carry. Then, a more somber look at those who would overthrow our government, followed up by a look at the war on cops. Be sure to go to Facebook, like our page On Target Radio, and ask a question or make a comment there, or give us a call at 815-205-1584. That's 815-205-1584.
And now, from the seething cauldron of personal opinion, it's time for David's Rant of the Week.
You can say whatever you wish in life, but you're judged on what you do. The proof is in the pudding. You know, I'm getting tired of the loony left saying conservatives are misogynistic, homophobic, xenophobic, Islamophobic, racist deplorables. In the 60s and 70s, when someone said you were a racist, you lamely replied, I have a black friend. So I'm going to avoid that type of rhetoric, even though it would be factual on all counts. The response to such allegations should never be one of defensiveness. Conservatives have nothing to prove. In point of fact, liberals are far more apt to fall into any of those categories than a conservative. For all the talk about the differences between Democrats and Republicans, the reality is quite simple. Democrats talk about their constituents in terms of what makes them different. Republicans talk in terms of shared values. Think about that for just a moment. Everything liberals do is designed to separate groups of people from one another. Liberals identify constituents by pigeonholing them into separate groups such as blacks, Hispanics, blue-collar workers, poor, homeless, feminists, lesbians, gays, transgendered, and bisexuals. Everyone in the Democratic Party falls into some category. Republicans? Well, Republicans don't. Republicans think in terms of shared values. Our friends aren't looked at in terms of ethnicity, sexual orientation, wealth, age, or gender, but rather as like-minded conservatives. Sure, we have differences of opinions on various subjects, but the core values are the same. Having been an academic for years, I have a fairly sizable body of experience at liberal parties. They're so boring, they could put you to sleep. Nobody tells a joke. because jokes are insensitive. Everyone has deep psychological scars as a result of being told they're oppressed. When they talk, it isn't small, light, friendly banter. They speak of deep, dark subjects and frame them in phrases such as, when we take over the Congress again, or where can I get replica ballots printed in time for the primary. They munch on nitrogen-chilled African Pelargonium tomentosum, on kale chips, while sipping ridiculously overpriced imported Transylvania aperitifs hand-milked from indigenous bats. And everyone fawns over anyone who is different than they are, telling them how their day in the sun is coming thanks to the Democratic Party. They leave out the fact that their day in the sun revolves around lawn work in the guy's yard. Contrast that with a Republican Party where the joke making the rounds begins with, a terrorist and a Texan walked into a massage parlor. There are people standing in line for another helping of ribs, drinking Sam Adams beer and discussing the finer differences between Nicaraguan and Dominican cigars and the relative merits of jacketed hollow points and hydro shocks. And that's just the women at the party. Nobody cares what race, religion, sex, or sexual orientation you are because you all share the same core set of values. The keys to success are being self-reliant, tenacious, and a hard worker. And when somebody's business goes under, nobody blames anybody else for it. Everything you need to know about the liberal progressive agenda is neatly framed in the past general election in these 7 points. Republicans, the party of racism and sexism, ran a female, Hispanics, and African American, and both older and younger candidates. The Democrats ran 2 old white people, one a male socialist and the other a dishonest woman with a penchant for making her friends disappear. 2, they excoriated Donald Trump, who had the temerity to suggest he'd wait until the election was over before deciding if it was on the up and up. You'd have thought libraries across the country were holding book burnings and destroying every copy of the manifesto. The Democrats shouted Trump is undermining the Constitution. The press headlined Trump threatens historic peaceful transition of power. Yada, yada, until Trump won. And suddenly, challenging and changing the results of the election was being patriotic. Electoral college electors had their lives threatened when they refused to change their vote. 3, George Soros openly funds and transports agitators to go to various cities to whip the population into violent demonstrations. The festivities call for rioting, shooting police, destroying businesses, blocking traffic, threatening people's lives, and looting. Nothing says you're upset over an election as clearly as stealing television sets from Walmart. Republicans don't do that when the guy loses an election. We don't have the time. We go to work. 4, the Not My President cabal formed to fight President-elect Trump at every opportunity and vows to disrupt the inauguration so severely as to potentially stop it, or at least to force it indoors and out of the public's eye. 5, college students are so traumatized by the election that to cope with the situation, they have to suspend midterm exams, crawl into a safe space, play with Play-Doh, and hug puppies while crying. 6, Democrats study the election results with total disbelief and blame everyone and everything imaginable for Clinton's loss but the one true reason. It's not because we're misogynistic. It's because Hillary Clinton is a lying, cheating sociopath. True, Trump is an unknown, and we can only take his word for what he claims, but we've been hacking up a Clinton furball for quite a while now. Fortunately, we're in the home strength. And 7, finally, liberals are threatening to start a revolutionary war targeting conservatives. Really? You're the anti-gun freakazoids. We're the folks that own the 400 million firearms in the United States, have prior military experience, tactical training, and some of the most sophisticated equipment made. What exactly is it you think you're going to do? Cut off our supply of Barbra Streisand CDs and beat us to death with your stuffed teddy bear? Liberals love to talk about how inclusive they are, about how conservatives are evil and violent. But in the end, the proof is in the pudding. And that's my rant for the week. Okay. No pithy response.
No, once again, I'm gobsmacked.
There you go. Well, Gob, someday I'd like to meet Gob. If he smacks you around a lot, I don't know. Have to straighten him out. You're listening on Target Radio. You can try giving us a call at 815-205-1584. 815-205-1584. And see if you can get us on the phone. That would be nice. I must say that I am not losing sleep over having read that California and Oregon are trying to pass something where they can secede from the Union.
I wouldn't miss them.
Doesn't bother me a whole lot. It's not quite as simple as people would like to make you think it is. It takes I've got it here. So it takes 38 legislatures to approve it, and then you have to have 2/3 approval in both the House and the Senate, and that's assuming it's approved by the people in the state itself.
Right. They would vote first, obviously.
Yeah. So it's probably not very likely that will happen.
Well, right. That's what this article says, is that analysts say it's implausible, highly unlikely.
Here's the thing: if they were to secede from the Union, what would we do? We'd put up border guards, and they'd have to have a passport to come here, and we could refuse to trade with them. And they don't produce anything other than some wine, which you can get better from France, which is now more conservative than California, which is hard to imagine. Would anybody honestly miss them?
Yeah, they're relatives, maybe. I don't really think.
And this nonsense, when Whoopi Goldberg and all these people said, well, we're going to leave the country, which, by the way, have you read a single note of that in the newspaper?
No.
Have any of them left yet?
It's not actually happening.
Yeah, I don't see that.
But as I've been saying, again, we wouldn't know the difference.
Well, that's it.
We would still see their movies and hear their CDs.
And if
see
California
their songs,
seceded,
hear the songs on the radio.
If California seceded, what, Hollywood's going to stop making movies?
It would actually be I think it would really be a good thing, because it would be kind of like us moving to Texas. It would be the other side of that coin. It would be, okay, so now California is its own country. So anybody who's a fruit and a nut may want to go live there. And then there's fewer fruits and nuts here. So that would actually be a really good thing, in my opinion. Give people choices.
I have no problem with that at all. I really don't. And you could occasionally... Is that it?
That's it.
My clock's wrong. Well, we'll be back with more on Target Radio after this little break. And we're going to talk a little bit more about seceding from the
For over 100 years, the Illinois State Rifle Association has supported the rights and freedoms of Illinois citizens to keep and bear arms. For over 100 years, the ISRA has supported the use of firearms as a sport for personal protection and as a fundamental aspect of national defense. For over 100 years, the Illinois State Rifle Association has been supporting you. Don't you think it's time you supported them? ISRA.org or 815-635-3198. The Illinois State Rifle Association, supporting you.
Safer USA, Chicago's most trusted name in firearm training, is offering beginners classes, tactical pistol and rifle, long-range rifle to 600 yards, and the most comprehensive Illinois concealed carry program available. The On Target Radio co-hosts David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz will prepare you to carry a firearm for personal protection, including firearm, holster, and ammunition selection. A comprehensive law review designed to keep you out of trouble and even how to deal with home invasions. Firearm, ammunition, holster, class notebook, and lunch are provided. Safer USA and the Aurora Sportsman's Club invites you to participate in this one-of-a-kind Illinois concealed carry program that also qualifies you for Florida, Utah, and Arizona non-resident permits. Find out what over 6,000 students already know at saferusa.com.
Or call 815-741-3474. That's 815-741-3474. Safer USA. Choosing to own a firearm is your business. Teaching you to own it responsibly is ours.
You're listening to On Target Radio with David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz. Here's David and Gretchen with more interesting conversation on gun control, concealed carry, freedom of speech, and other red meat issues that affect your life.
And we're back. More On Target Radio. Give us a call, 815-205-1584. Be the first person in history to call us sitting here in the dining room doing a radio show. We got to find a place to set up. I don't know. We need a shop. We need someplace. Some good conservative should, get us some office space somewhere. We'll set up, and we're going to have other people do shows. We'll talk about the end of the show. Before the end of the show, we'll talk about sort of what I have in mind here. But before we went to break, we were talking about California and Oregon wanting to leave the union. So there are some tech billionaire guys who are actually willing to fund the effort. And I just really have absolutely no problem whatsoever with them doing that.
No, I think that would be a really good use of their dollars. I think they should do that.
It's and there's surprisingly, did really surprise me. California, no. Oregon, not too much. Nevada, I don't quite understand Nevada. I have a funny, because they're talking the same thing, and I don't understand that because the casino owners are not going to like that at all. That's bad for business. So I don't get that.
But again, would it have much of an effect? I'm not sure that it would.
Sure, because there'll be people who will be really ticked off and will stop going. Oh, that'll happen. Go to Atlantic City.
Really?
Oh, sure.
Oh, yeah, because New Jersey's so much better.
Well, but at least they're still part of the union.
I don't know. I still think I'd get out my passport and go to Nevada. I don't really.
It just strikes me as odd.
See a problem.
It strikes me as odd. We both use Penzi spices.
Yes.
And
which they're down here in Naperville.
They have an outlet, but they're Wisconsin company.
I didn't.
They're Midwest company. But Penzi, who's actually a guy's name,
right,
is a psychotic. I think he sent an email.
Well, psychotically Democrat.
And there's a distinction. He sent an email to all of his people on his list, basically telling them that they were full of you know what.
And why is that? Because we voted for Trump.
Yeah. I mean, is this a good marketing tool? I mean, is that a really smart thing to do? Take all your roughly 50% of your customers, I would assume.
Alienating at least 50%.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that seems like a really stupid business move, in my opinion. I mean, it's similar with anybody else who's not in the business of politics talking about politics. It's not smart.
It's not. It really isn't. And it's like movie stars and stuff. Everybody has a right to their own public beliefs, their own political beliefs. I don't have a problem with that. I have a problem when they proselytize it. When they use the money that you pay to go and see their show or whatever it is, and they use that to try and cram stuff down your throat. There was a book written about Barbra Streisand. Well, she was part of the book, called Shut Up and Sing. This guy has got a pretty big database, I think, because it's a pretty popular spice company.
I'm sure.
Listen to what he wrote is what really I find so far beyond arrogance. It's unbelievable. It says, at Penzi's, we believe it's not the use of tools that set us on a different path from the rest of the animal world. Right. What has set humanity in motion is cooking. In our nearly million years gathered together around the fire, cooking shaped our bodies and transformed our minds. Cooking unlocked our potential and gave birth to reason, to religion, and to politics and government. The kindness of tens of thousands of generations of cooks created our humanity, but racism, sexism, and homophobia can all very quickly unravel all the goodness cooking puts out into the world. As the voice of cooks, we will never sit idly by while that happens. Is that like the epitome of arrogance?
Yes. Yeah, I think so. And then it seems like maybe there were two emails, because then he follows it up and
explaining the first one.
And he says, you just voted for an openly racist candidate for the presidency of the United States of America. For most of you, the heartbreaking destruction racism causes has never been anything you or your loved ones have had to experience. Yeah, I'm sure this white dude from Wisconsin has, some hard-hitting stories about racism in his life.
Yeah, cheesehead. Right.
And then this is the part that really got me chuckling. 80% of this country who did not just vote for an openly racist candidate is going to treat you like you're the kind of person, blah, blah, blah. I'm sorry. We won with 50+%.
Yeah.
How do you get 80% did not vote for Trump? I'm
Liberal.
not sure how you get that.
He's a liberal. It's I found it interesting in that second thing he sent out. He said, the open embrace of racism by the Republican Party in this election is now unleashing a wave of ugliness unseen in this country for decades. The American people are taking notice. Let's commit to giving the people a better choice. Our kindness really is our strength. Now, let me just, how many Republicans do you think were down on Michigan Avenue blocking traffic and holding them up?
I'm going to go with 0.
I'm going to think 0, maybe even less than that.
Less
The
than 0
ugliness,
persons.
all of the ugliness is coming from the Democrats. There are no riots. When Obama won twice, did we ever get invited to a single Republican protest on Michigan Avenue?
I must have missed that invitation.
I think so. So I find it very interesting that this lunatic blames all of this stuff on Donald Trump and his followers when everything that is going on, we're like sitting home. Well, we're going to work. That's the other thing.
We're at home reloading.
And while they're puffing up their teddy bears to throw at us, yeah, we're reloading. And the other thing is people go, we're going to bring a revolution to your front door. Okay, fine. So let's say they go out and buy a gun. How many people have we seen who'd never shot before with a gun in their hand? It's like
Right.
safest places directly in front of them. You know,
It's pretty scary.
it is. What do they think they're going to do?
Yeah,
Literally.
I don't know. I really don't know what they think they're going to do.
But cut your
They're-
supply of
They're
quiche
gonna, they're going to, kill us with their bare hands or something. I think.
It's idiotic. But it really struck me that he's laying all this at the foot of Republicans when it's the Democrats who are out there doing all this stuff, not us.
Yeah, I've seen commentary and cartoons and things that they're before the election they're carrying signs that say "Love Trump's hate," and now they're like, "Kill the Trump people." Now it's like, oh, what happened to the love?
Apparently went by the wayside. Yeah. Speaking of shooting people, which we're not,
But we could.
we could. Violence. I mean, this is the thing. Violence is on the decrease again. And I think the important thing about this, the numbers that they put out about gun violence, they say gun homicide rate dropped from 7 per 100,000 in 93 down to 3.4 in 2014. It's steadily been going down. And the thing that I find interesting about this is that they go, oh, you're juking the numbers. Excuse me. It's 8 years of the most anti-gun president, and the Justice Department, the people who put out these statistics, are hired by him.
Right, they work for him.
If they're juking the numbers, it's making him as good as possible, make him look as good as possible. So this nonsense that somehow we're controlling it, that's ridiculous. And it just categorically shows that the numbers have been going down steadily all along, particularly
Well,
since...
and that's the thing. If they're going to cook the books, you can't have it both ways. You can't say,
Exactly.
oh, the Republicans don't want gun control, and look what it's done. But then at the same time, Obama's in control, doing his executive orders, gun control, and the numbers are actually going down. I'm like, okay, you have to pick one.
Pick one or the other, yes.
Yeah, it can't be
Yeah.
both. It has to be one or the other. Logic dictates it has to be one or the other.
It's just irrefutable. Violent crime is going down. Now, to be fair about how this is reported, and we don't have a lot of faith in most of the press, but to be fair, nobody's going to go on news and go, went today without a single person shot. I mean, they don't report good news. All you're ever going to hear in the news is 3 people were shot in Chicago today.
Well, they do good news, but it's, look at this charity and the work that they're doing.
Yeah, I'm talking about gun news.
No,
Good
no,
gun-
no,
yeah,
no,
there's
no.
no such thing as good gun news.
And
and
not
they're-
even on Fox.
They're very, very good at when a law-abiding concealed carry holder actually intervenes and saves somebody. You notice they never mention the fact that he had a gun?
No, I never did. I mean, I read it in the newspaper. I generally don't see that on television at all.
Yeah, they don't. I mean, they go, oh, Bob Schwartz was there and he stopped the guy. They forget the fact that Bob was
I see
pointing a
what you're saying.
45 at his head.
Yeah.
You know, go and drop the gun or I'll blow your head off.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, they don't. They never ever do anything supportive about Second Amendment issues, and I guess that's just the way it is. A lot of stuff is happening in the Second Amendment. Texas has filed. Like about a week ago, Texas is filing legislation to block any future, past and future federal gun control laws. What they're saying is, because they can't stop the federal government from passing a law, but what they're saying is no money from the state of Texas coffers will go to support any federal gun law. So if the feds pass some law or try and enforce an existing law, and how many times we said this, there's not enough feds to enforce laws.
Right.
It's a local issue.
Right.
And they're saying now in Texas, there's no money. You can't, local cops are not allowed to go and do that.
Yeah, I think a number of states have started these initiatives. Now, whether those laws have actually passed or not, I don't know. But a lot of states have written bills to this effect that we will not help enforce federal gun control, that any federal law that exceeds the law of our state, we're not going to put any state resources towards enforcing that.
Yeah. I didn't know what Texas actually has. It turns out they have no assault weapon law, which is not a surprise, but they have no registration, they have no state permits purchase requirement, no owner licensing requirements, and no magazine capacity. Basically, it's Texas. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but they do have, people think like, oh, you can just strap on a gun. But no, actually, they do have to take a class for concealed carry, and they have to get a permit, and they have to renew it every probably 5 years, which is typical from state to state. And they only recently got open carry. Previously they had no open carry at all in Texas for, 75 years or something like that. So yeah, Texas is not as liberal of a gun state as some people might think.
Yeah.
It's not like Vermont, where you just
Texas,
strap it on and walk out.
Yeah. Texas is, I don't exactly know how to describe it. It's not that, you're right, they're not liberal with their laws, but they're very strict about following the law, and they're very strict about enforcing it. And they are fundamentally conservative until you get into Dallas or the big cities. Basically, Texas is a pretty conservative state.
Sure.
And it's a no income tax state, which that automatically makes it good.
Yes.
I don't know. We're getting close now, aren't we? Yeah, we are. So what we're going to do, Trump has said that he wants to do nationwide concealed carry. So we're going to hit that when we come back, because that's a big deal. So we'll be back with more On Target Radio, and we're going to talk about Donald Trump's idea for national concealed carry law. All that and more. I'll return on Target Radio.
You're listening to On Target Radio with David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz. Here's David and Gretchen with more interesting conversation on gun control, concealed carry, freedom of speech, and other red meat issues that affect your life.
And we're back from On Target Radio. If somebody is so inclined, give us a call, 815-205-1584.
This segment is brought to you by the Will County Grassroots Division of the Illinois State Rifle Association. Join like-minded friends supporting the right to keep and bear arms in Illinois at 7 p.m. on the third Wednesday of the month at the Silver Dollar Restaurant in Elwood, Illinois.
You know what it is? I have, and she'll tell you this, I 1 second of dead air, right?
He starts to have a panic attack.
I do. There's no in the printing industry, in the magazine business, it's called white space, right? White space is bad. In radio, it's dead air, and so if you're not stepping on the toes of the guy coming off, I
gotta jump in a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's
and the great thing is that now everybody is seeing us on video if they're listening at all, and so they can see me like wildly gesturing that that Eric had a live read that you were supposed to do, and you cut him off. And
it's a fact. I did do that. Yeah. Anyway, speaking of cutting people off, Trump is talking about cutting the people who don't like guns off at the knees. He said during the campaign. He was saying things like the right of self-defense doesn't stop at the end of your driveway. There is House Bill 923 is a national reciprocity bill. John Cornyn from Texas, big surprise, and Marlon Stutzman from Indiana, another big surprise, are sponsoring the bill, and it's a national concealed carry law. And, you know, he makes the same arguments that we've made forever and a day. I mean, it's a constitutional right. Reality is you shouldn't even have to have a card or anything, but, you know, you should be able to go from state to state like you drive a car.
Well, that's obviously, that's what he said. He said if we can do that for driving, which is a privilege, not a right, then surely we can do that for concealed carry, which is a right, not a privilege. So I think he really went on a limb by saying that, you know, before he got elected. So I think that, you know, there's certainly the people who think that. Now, I look at it more from the legal side, just spending way too much time with Ed Ronkowski. And and it's like, okay, well, but there's variations. I mean, you know, the driving laws from state to state don't vary that much, but the gun laws from state to state and the concealed carry laws from state to state do vary quite a bit. You know, Illinois has some of the highest education requirements. You have to do 16 hours for Illinois concealed carry, and then there's other states that have zero, no education whatsoever.
Yep.
You know, you simply apply. Other states have constitutional carry, like Vermont. You just strap it on and walk out. So my question, and I haven't read this bill, so I don't know like what that actually says, but I would be interested to know, like, how are they going to reconcile these differences?
Well, one of the things that he talks about is, he said this in the campaign, on the first day I'm president, we're going to do away with gun safe zones. I don't think that's possible. I mean, I don't know.
I think that's one of those promises that you make, but you really can't legally achieve it.
I don't know. Maybe we'll see. Maybe we won't.
Because those are state by state. I mean, I teach Illinois concealed carry, and I teach Utah, as you do. We teach Illinois and Utah concealed carry, and their lists of gun-free zones are nowhere near the same.
True, but I think what he's saying is he's just going to have a blanket. There are no gun-free zones anymore. I don't know. I mean, it's federal law.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, it's not a law, though.
I don't
It wouldn't be a
think.
law.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Is I don't think the federal government can do that because those are state laws.
Maybe.
That would be overriding state laws.
I'd like him to try.
Well, as would I. I mean, I think that some of the places that we have that are gun-free zones are the worst places, like schools and colleges. You know, K through 12 schools and colleges, I think, are places where, you know, responsible adults who have proven their ability to carry concealed should be allowed to carry concealed.
And there's certainly plenty of precedent. Utah, concealed carry holders can carry a firearm into schools in Utah. there is zero incidents of anyone shooting up a Utah school.
Yes. They actually did have a stabbing about a week ago.
But that's not a gun.
But, right, exactly.
Did somebody with a gun in the school, like an 8th grader, shoot him or something?
I don't remember. I think they did probably. Actually, I think they got tackled. The more I think about it, I'll look it up.
Didn't throw a teddy bear at him, though.
No, I don't think that's what happened.
I don't picture Utah kids having safe zones and teddy bears.
No, I don't think so.
Think that's
It's the Wild West as far as I can tell, but you won't let me go to Utah, so I have no way of knowing.
You're more than welcome to go to Utah. Would you come back? I don't know. That's the question. I've got a list of what Donald, and this is off of Trump's current website. I mean, like within the past 2 days, this is off of his website. On the Constitution, he's still saying, appoint judges to the Supreme Court that will uphold the laws and the Constitution, defend the rule of law and the Constitution of the United States, protect and defend the Bill of Rights, freedom of religion, speech, press, and the right to bear arms. I mean, he just keeps pounding. I truly believe he's a constitutionalist. I mean, he keeps saying it over and over again.
Or he's got somebody giving him good advice, and that's what they're telling him to say.
Well, but that may be true. Somebody may have written this up for him, but I mean, I can put it on his website if he doesn't agree with it.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying it's either him or someone who works for him who is telling him to say the right things.
Now, from my perspective, the big thing is nominate a United States Supreme Court justice who upholds the Second Amendment. Try and replace Scalia, which would be hard to do. It's big shoes to fill.
Well, sure.
Yeah. And then this is the one that Republicans have gone crazy about for decades, since at least Bill Clinton, and that is enforce the laws that are on the books. I mean, how often have we, they said, well, we need a new law to compensate for whatever it is, and they haven't enforced the ones?
Well, and that's one of my big arguments with the gun laws, that they're not really enforcing the federal gun laws that are already on the book. So why make more that you're not going to enforce? It just doesn't make any sense.
Exactly.
It's like, let's see if the ones we already have would work if you actually enforce them.
I don't believe there, and I haven't fact-checked this, but if it's not exactly right, it's close. I don't think this administration has prosecuted anybody under a gun law. Bill Clinton did not. All those laws they had, Bill Clinton and his administration, they never prosecuted anybody under a gun law. And if they have under Obama, it's been one or two at most. But you look at stuff that goes on, like in Chicago, like that elderly black man who he owned a tavern and he lived in the back, and under Chicago's ordinance, he wasn't allowed to have a gun, but he had a FOID card. The state was fine.
Sure.
And they could have prosecuted him for that, and they wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole. That would have been a poster child for
Which
the NRA.
is what I tell our students all the time. I'm like, if you shoot someone in self-defense, even in Chicago, even in Cook County, you are not going to be prosecuted.
It's pretty unlikely, yeah. And are they doing that more out of fear because they're afraid if they prosecute him, then they lose in court? It sets a precedent, of course, for whatever the case was.
Well, there's that, and I also, what I tell our students is that state's attorneys are elected officials. If they lose in the court of public opinion,
they've lost.
They lose the next election, most likely.
Exactly. The other interesting thing is Project Exile, and I remembered it, and I couldn't remember the exact details of it. I went and looked it up. Project Exile, this goes back quite a few years. Essentially, it took certain gun crimes, possession gun crimes, illegal possession, out of the local control put under federal law, where they would get hard time. I mean, like seriously hard time for doing that. And they were getting people off the streets. I forget who, I don't know if it was Clinton that stopped doing it. I can't remember who it was. But anyway, so he's talking about bringing that type of thing back again. And then the things that we would think would be naturals, like the mental health system.
We got a good comment on Facebook from David Fisher. He says, one of the best things Trump could do to establish credibility as a good president would be to nominate such an excellent, decisive, fair, and proven legal scholar for Scalia's seat that both parties would be pleased and vote to confirm in the proverbial New York Minute.
There is no scholar. Who wrote that?
David Fisher.
David. So, David, here's the thing. He can certainly nominate somebody that Republicans could get behind. But anyone that believes in strict interpretation and upholding the Constitution is not going to be a favorite of the liberals.
Well, right, and that's the thing. Just from a philosophical standpoint, I shouldn't say all, but most Democrats want somebody who's going to be a progressive, who's going to be an activist judge. And most conservatives don't believe in that. Most of us believe in strict interpretation of the Constitution, which is what the Supreme Court is supposed to be doing.
Supposed to be.
Interpreting the Constitution.
Yeah. Ginsburg interprets the Constitution. In a different language.
What does he say, into French?
Yes, into France. I never could understand how she and Scalia were best buddies and went hunting together.
Yeah, that's a weird...
Is that not strange?
That's a weird thing. You've told me that, and I want, photographic evidence, because I'm not sure I believe it.
I wondered if she smothered him in the bed there, I don't know.
Okay, that is just wrong in so many levels.
I don't. It's a little scary to think of that, isn't it? It's a little scary. Yeah. And she's got that whole thing going. What is that?
Her blouse. She likes those tie neck blouses.
She probably has waddle. What do they call? What's turkey's head?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Turkey neck.
Yeah, turkey neck. I don't know. The other thing that I find interesting is Trump is saying empower law-abiding gun owners to defend themselves. I don't know that any presidential candidate has ever said, "Yeah, get a gun and defend yourself." I don't. That's like Sheriff Clark and those guys say that. There've been a lot of reservation about Donald Trump, but this is the stuff that people have been wanting to see. Now we'll find out what happens.
Well, and that's the thing too. I mean, I think the last time we had not so much Democrat, but all Republican Congress and a Republican president, it's still hard to get things done because, especially the House of Representatives, they have to run every 2 years, and so they're worried about voting for things that are unpopular. And so I think that even though it should be easy, I think it's not going to be as easy as people think it's going to be. And which should make the Democrats feel better. All these people who are out on Michigan Avenue having a hissy fit, it should make them feel a little bit better that just because somebody wants it doesn't mean they're going to get it.
Yeah, well, good luck on that, right? All right, we're going to be back. We're going to take a break. When we come back, our good friends at CARE want to overthrow the U.S. government. That'll be an interesting topic. All that and more when On Target Radio returns.
If you're looking for a better shooting experience, imagine shooting virtually all your firearms the same day. You can move and shoot steel, draw from the holster, or compete in a 3-gun match. You can exercise that rifle out to 600 yards, even engage in a very challenging sporting clays course or a round of trap or skeet. Do all that and much more at the Aurora Sportsman's Club. Whether you're a novice looking for a basic course or an experienced shooter looking for an advanced course, even if you want to participate in your favorite shooting event such as IDPA or cowboy action shooting, spend an enjoyable day with the family at the Aurora Sportsman's Club, the only shooting facility in the region that offers all of that and more. If that sounds interesting, don't miss the next orientation and a tour of the Aurora Sportsman's Club in Waterman, Illinois. Call the membership department at 815-264-9000 extension 44 for information. That's 815-264-9000 extension 44 to join a one-of-a-kind shooting facility. The Aurora Sportsman's Club.
Safer USA, Chicago's most trusted name in firearm training, is offering beginners classes, tactical pistol and rifle, long-range rifle to 600 yards, and the most comprehensive Illinois concealed carry program available. The On Target Radio co-hosts David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz will prepare you to carry a firearm for personal protection, including firearm, holster, and ammunition selection. A comprehensive law review designed to keep you out of trouble and even how to deal with home invasions. Firearm, ammunition, holster, class notebook, and lunch are provided. Safer USA and the Aurora Sportsman's Club invites you to participate in this one-of-a-kind Illinois concealed carry program that also qualifies you for Florida, Utah, and Arizona non-resident permits. Find out what over 6,000 students already know at saferusa.com.
Or call 815-741-3474. That's 815-741-3474. Safer USA. Choosing to own a firearm is your business. Teaching you to own it responsibly is ours.
So gross.
You're listening to On Target Radio with David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz. Here's David and Gretchen with more interesting conversation on gun control, concealed carry, freedom of speech, and other red meat issues that affect your life.
Over a half century ago, a respected firearms store opened. It started as a hobby for Mike Schrenk and has now served generations of customers. Schrenk's Smoke and Gun retains a family atmosphere and now carries the largest selection of new, used, and consignment firearms in Lake County. From pistols, rifles, and shotguns, to hard-to-find calibers, collectibles, and older functioning hunting rifles. You'll also find full gunsmith services from simple detail cleaning to complete rebuilds. Whether you're thinking about your first firearm and a FOID card, or looking to add to your collection, visit Schrenk's Smoke and Gun. If you have a firearm to sell, their recent sale was so successful, they need your firearms. And if you love cigars, you'll find your favorites in Schrenk's humidors, along with a broad selection of pipes and tobacco. Visit smoke, the letter N, gun.org, or call 847-662-4034. Schrenk's Smoke and Gun in Waukegan, your family-owned gun store since 1964. That's 847-662-4034.
See, he jumped on it that time.
I got you that time.
Yeah.
He knew what to expect.
He just jumped right on that. That's good. That's good. I like
The
that.
death stare didn't help either. So.
Well, fine. Speaking of death stares, care. You look at me like you were about to say something.
No.
Oh, good.
Care as in CAIR.
Right. Which never even thought about it before. That's kind of funny, isn't it? That it would phonetically come out to sound.
It's just like I always say, homophones are a real waste of time.
Fine. So, the leader of CARE, remember now, you got to put this in perspective. CARE is the Council on American Islamic Relations, right? Mm-hmm. And they're the people who keep saying Muslims are good law-abiding citizens and
we're the religion of peace.
Exactly. So what does this guy go? Yeah, let's just overthrow the U.S. government. That's good. That's really good, I think.
But he wrote it in Arabic, so he was trying to be sneaky about it.
Yeah, that didn't work well, though. Didn't go over well. They're coming out. I mean, these people are just coming out and saying it.
Now, despite his tweet, other CARE leaders showed restraint in the face of Trump's election. A man named Nihad Awad, the longtime CARE executive director and Hamas sympathizer, struck a conciliatory tone. He said, as citizens of this great nation, we accept the results of the democratic process that has bound us together as one nation. So he was not quite so combative.
Yeah, he's just probably sending money to him. Well, I don't know. I guess surprising wouldn't be a good word. But the thing that's disturbing is that the President of the United States, and for that matter Hillary Clinton, who was in the race, have not said a single word about shooting cops, stopping traffic, looting, none of that. Not a word.
Well, obviously they support it.
And that would be where it comes from. Good old Uncle George is opening up his wallet and dumping money back into the program. And you talk to people who are liberals and they go, it's an uprising of people in the local area. Well, that was really great until they saw the line of buses parked 2 blocks away.
Right, and until people who didn't get paid started exposing their emails from Soros's organization, promising to pay them X number of thousands of dollars to go and protest.
I think if you're intending to overthrow the government, you probably ought to pay your bills.
Well, there's that, and no paper trail. That would be another good rule of thumb.
Yeah.
The forefathers had it right. They had the know-nothings. Remember them?
Right.
If anyone asked them,
that was a party.
Right. If
Yeah.
anybody asked them anything about revolutionary sentiment
No,
or any
I don't know
plan,
anything.
I know nothing. That was
I
what they were
know nothing.
instructed to say.
Yeah, exactly. So there have been numerous cases of people who have, what do I want to say, fomented these. I'm not sure riots are right, but
Protests.
aggressive protests.
Some of them are riots.
Some of them probably. Yeah,
I
they
think
actually are.
in Portland they've had some bona fide
Yeah.
riots, but like in Chicago, it's more just been
Yep,
protests.
blocking traffic and stuff. But
Yeah.
these are things that they've done. They've tried to corrupt. They've tried to coerce the Electoral College to change their votes, using riots to force the president to. What they're trying to do is enforce Emergency Powers Act to suspend the inauguration. Expand protests and riots to shopping malls to generate an economic collapse, because who the hell wants to go to a mall if and disrupt the inauguration and somehow cause the president-elect to not become president. Now, an interesting thing I read somewhere, and I don't quite remember where, maybe it was in here somewhere, buried in this batch of stuff, but how does this go? If he doesn't get inaugurated by a certain time, did you read this? I can't quite recall now how this worked. If he doesn't get inaugurated, I know what it is. They're going to do a recount, right?
Oh, okay.
Now,
Sure.
if they can't get the recount done by a certain date, those votes don't count. And of course, they're counting Pennsylvania. They're counting the heavy hitter states. Okay, so now if he loses Electoral College votes, so that neither of them have 270, then neither of them are going to be president.
Sure.
Which is a kind of a far-fetched,
Yeah.
but maybe not that far-fetched, because what they're saying is there's not enough time to count all those ballots.
So then, does it go to the popular vote? Like, what's number
They get
two then?
Well, they get appointed.
Oh, right.
They get appointed by the Congress. The House
Right,
of,
right.
Okay, and which it's Republican. But here's what they're trying to do. They're not going to get the president.
No, because he had over 300 Electoral College votes. They'd have to really strip a lot away from him.
But even if they did, even if they did that, and it went to the Congress, and it's Republican, so they're going to vote for him anyway. But what the article was saying is that it will further discredit him. They'll say he didn't win the popular vote, he didn't win the electoral vote, he got voted in by his own people, and it'd just be a complete 4 years of disrupted political crap.
Sure.
And that's what some people are thinking.
That's kind of actually, there's a TV show about that right now.
Really? What is it?
It's called Designated Survivor. My mom's been watching it and telling me about it. I haven't been watching it.
It's about
She's been telling me about it. Basically, the premise of the show is that anytime, like during the State of the Union, when both houses of Congress and the president are all together, that they have designated survivors that don't go, so that if something should happen, say there's like an attack or something like that, that they assume the presidency so that the country can keep running. But there's in the show, so that happens in the show, and then there's certain people, like the governors of various states, are going, "You're not the president, and we don't respect your authority, and we don't recognize your authority." So
respect my authority.
That's kind of sounds like what you're talking about. So it's kind of ironic. It's interesting timing that the TV show saw that happening.
We have action items? Yes, we do.
Stand by. Here's Gretchen with your action items for the week.
Bolingbrook Firefighters Association Local 3005 is excited to announce their second annual gun raffle fundraiser. They will be raffling off 6 pistols and 6 long guns along with gift cards each month. The raffle will run from July to December 2016. For more information on the firearms and a link to purchase online, visit www.iafflocal3005.com. Each month, there will be 1 pistol and 1 long gun raffled, along with $100 and $50 Bass Pro gift cards. Each raffle ticket is only able to win once per month, but if drawn, it will be placed back into the drawings for the remainder of the raffles. If you win a firearm, you will need to go to Bass Pro Shop in Bolingbrook to pick it up. Each year, Local 3005 donates nearly $20,000 to local charities such as Special Olympics Illinois, St. Baldrick's, Rotary, Boy Scouts, Operation Christmas, DuPage Township Food Pantry, and Illinois Burn Alliance. I am available this winter for your Girls' Night In get-together. Contact us now to reserve your date. I will come to your house and talk to you and your friends about firearm selection, demonstrate many holsters, talk about concealed carry, and give you plenty of time to try the holsters on for yourself. Call, email, or Facebook Safer USA for more information or to book a party. The following Safer USA classes are at our facility in Waterman, Saturday and Sunday, December 3rd and 4th, and December 10th and 11th. Illinois Concealed Carry 1. This 16-hour class will be taught by David and Gretchen and meets the training requirements for Illinois Concealed Carry as well as Florida, Arizona, and Utah. To sign up for classes, go to saferusa.com and click on register.
Well, there you go. Minutes left in this epic event.
I got about 5.
The last thing we want to just talk about real quick is shooting cops. They shot another 2 guys.
Yes.
They were just sitting there doing some paperwork, sitting in the car, and just walked up to him and shot him in the head, just out of nowhere. And then the guy...
What happened? Was that again? Because I thought this was an old one.
No, I think that's recently. It was on. I got it out of today's news packet. And then he puts it up on what? Not, was it Facebook or something? I can't remember.
Instagram, I think.
Yeah, Instagram, whatever it is. I don't know that stuff. Alan knows that stuff.
I don't know that stuff.
That stuff. The statistic. Here's the thing. The statistics, and we don't really have a lot of time. We should probably talk about the statistics next week, because the statistics.
This is a really good article. We should probably save this.
Yeah, it
we
simply,
could just tease it for next time.
It simply doesn't bear it out.
Yes, basically that's
doesn't bear it out.
The upshot is that the facts are not obviously what Black Lives Matter wants you to think, which I think most conservatives already assumed that, but we've got some hard statistics to back that up.
And again, I always point this out when we talk about this. These statistics are coming from an administration that has been the most anti-gun administration in this country. So if they're juking the numbers, they're juking them to make themselves look good. So anything you would say, well, the numbers are rigged. Imagine what if they weren't rigged then, because they'd be even worse.
Yeah, I don't think
not
they
for
are,
us.
because people would challenge it if they didn't.
I think you're
seem,
right.
If they didn't seem plausible at their face, they would be challenged.
I think the people who work in the Department of Justice and the people who work in the FBI are good, hardworking people. It's because they're not political jobs.
No.
And they just, that's what they do for a living, and they want to do it. I've never not had faith in the rank and file.
And I don't really know anybody who sits around and does statistics who's anything but a straight arrow.
Yeah. We should probably do a close, because we never exactly know when we're going to close. It always makes me nervous. So we'd like to thank you for joining us tonight, and we appreciate your support.
We'd also like to thank our engineer and announcer, Eric Allen, and our sponsors, the Will County Grassroots Division of the ISRA, the Illinois State Rifle Association, the Aurora Sportsman's Club, and Safer USA.
We do have some undetermined amount of time. The clock is ticking, but we have some more time.
And I have nothing in front of me, so I have no idea what to expect.
Well, we're there's the music. There's the music. So we're going to go away now. We'll be back next week, and we hope you listen again. We'll have more Red Meat Issues Affect Your Life, and spread the word. Again, next Sunday night, 8 p.m., and we'll pick it up with police being shot. All that and more. But On Target Radio returns next week at 8 o'clock.